That's all right, guys. Let's start it over because you're a little hot. You were...
I'm a little hot. Oh.
Audio-wise.
Okay. Hey, Viv, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to my living room studio. Can you believe this? I'm just glad you're here, and we're just going to have a real typical Joanie Viv conversation.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here today in the very famous living room studio.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and we don't quite have a name for this yet, but we'll come up with something. You know, so your recommendations would be...
You want me to say the thing?
You betcha, say it.
The Gaydio Show.
The Gaydio Show. I love it. I love it. Well, and it's related to books that I have written in the last 3 books in 2 years. And so I want to ask you a few questions today and just have a really beautiful conversation with you. I admire you. You're full of strength and fortitude. I love your humor. That's for sure, for sure. And of course, I know we've been walking on beaches before. We've shared meals before. And so today's the time that we get to introduce you and I and the books to the world in terms of a film, which is pretty cool. How did we meet? Can you remind me that? How did we meet?
Well, I kind of had heard about you from my boyfriend, Will, and he told me a lot about you. And also, one of the things he said is that he was going to be in your second book, Joyously Free. So my boyfriend was a part of this, and he talked about his experience with it. And he's like, "This is Joanie. She's an amazing person." I think one of the things that like really had caught my attention about you before I even met you in person was the fact that you were a out lesbian Christian and that you had come from a Catholic background. I myself came up from a Catholic background. One of the reasons that I had been drawn away from faith was like a feeling of, you know, maybe this faith wasn't exactly what I was told it was. And then I had a lot of examples coming to this little town here and seeing a whole bunch of things that proved me wrong.
Right. You know, and I so remember that first conversation you and I had and how open you were to describe and to talk about what you had been through and what you were going through, as well as your newness here with your boyfriend and the newness in a new area. And I just thought, wow, you were so raw and vulnerable, but yet you were willing to share that. And so thinking back on that time, we finished Joyously Free and we were starting the next book because everywhere I went on the None Better tour came down to 2 issues. LGBTQ and allies related to LGBTQ issues and hurts from religion. And so that's when I wanted to see what involvement you might play in this. Can you remember what it was like when I asked you to write in Healing Religious Hurts?
Yes. So Joanie had this bombshell idea while Will was out of the room for a sec. He was like, "Hey, we're gonna surprise Will. We're gonna like, hey, do you want to be a part of my next book?" And I'm like, "Sure, I got nothing better to do with my day."
Right.
But yeah, I accepted the offer because frankly, it just seemed like something fun to do because I honestly didn't really register in my brain that I was going to be published. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to write something for my new friend Joanie and it's going to be really fun. Yeah, that was my initial feelings about it because I honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal.
And has that changed since then?
I'm going to look at the sign behind you.
Okay.
Top 24 in 2024 LGBTQ plus Q Spirit Christian books. So yeah, I'm going to say I was a little bit on the wrong side.
Well, and maybe it's not a side, maybe it's not a wrong or a right, but it just is. And it was an opportunity that you grabbed and you thought, wow, this is really cool, you know? And I'm so glad and grateful that you did say yes. What was the process like of writing? Can you take me back to that? Did you start right away? I mean, tell me the process from your angle of how you did the writing.
Oh boy, the writing process. That's going to be a fun one to tell about. And it's just like with any other thing I've attempted to write, or because like I want to make games, I want to write and do and that kind of stuff, create like fiction for people to enjoy. Usually the writing process comes down to I make a crud ton of process and like I have a first draft doing good, and then I hit a roadblock and I'm like, you know what, I'm done for the day, I should stop, it is midnight, it's the next day already, I should stop drinking coffee and go to bed. And the next day it's like, oh, the writing treachery begins, because now the first day of like that initial burst of like I can do anything has passed. And I think something really interesting about writing this piece is this is not at all like me trying to make a video game or me make a work of fiction, because something that really slowed down my process was the fact that, oh my god, I actually went through that, and I After the first few days of writing, I began to realize that, oh, this was not happy, happy, joy, joy.
Yeah.
This was not good time. Maybe I wasn't happy, you know?
Right.
Maybe I wasn't as happy as I thought I was. So I had to take a second to unpack all of that.
Right. And a second, meaning days, weeks?
About a month.
About a month or so, yeah.
And then other things happened, and I really started to lag, and up until the release date was catching up, and I had to like submit my stuff. So I was like, okay, you know what? Sit my pretty little butt in the chair again, crack my knuckles.
Did it start to flow at that point when you knew you had a deadline and you needed to get it in?
Yeah, that's my problem, I would say, because I have a problem functioning without a deadline, and that's something I've been looking to improve. Whether by leaning into that or leaning out of that is something I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but that's just my personal projects.
Well, can I jump in there?
Yeah.
I remember that you were at a point and you sent me a draft and said, Joanie, would you take a look at this? And I said, absolutely, I will. I said, you know, I'm not Elizabeth Atkins, the famous author, publisher, coacher, just incredible book person for the last 25 years of her life. And I'm new to this, but yes, I would be glad to do that. And when I'm looking at your draft, I'm just going, oh my gosh, you are putting your heart and soul out there. And I could tell that you were working from an internal point of view of dealing with some of the struggles and the heartaches and the experience you had and trying to find out where that goes from there. Is that sort of true? Did I get a good look at that?
I'm going to be completely honest. In the beginning of writing the book, I was, oh yeah, I'm going to be very dramatic and poetic. I wanted to go for that melodramatic feel because it's something that did impact me a lot. I'm like, or I'm an entertainer. Like, I want people to be entertained, laugh even.
Right.
Especially in this first paragraph. Let me take a look at that.
Go for it. Why don't you read the title too and what page it's on?
Escape from a Mental Alcatraz by Vivian Ashton, page 24. Especially ingrained in my head was the great guilt of man, that we are carriers of sin, like rats with the plague. That was, I was so happy with that one. I was like, I really wanted to integrate like a rat metaphor, or in this case a simile.
Right.
It was something that started off as me trying to add words and metaphors that I liked, and it started to kind of drift into a little more raw unpacking. So like you'll still see some metaphors and similes and very overly dramatic things here and there, but
Well, and to think, you know, you have page 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Those are all pages by you in this book. Would you mind reading just a couple paragraphs of things that you like? Maybe there's something in there that just is alive and well today as much as it was when you were writing it.
I think one paragraph I want to read aloud is something that's really important to me to talk about is this paragraph here. Everything was still adding up as misstep after misstep. Any desire I had to interact with people was greatly waning. It seemed better to stay mentally shackled to my desk, either playing video games or doing schoolwork. I was schooled online, which was not an inherent problem. It was beneficial to my learning, but this experience provides context. I want to talk about that for a sec because I was corrected, especially by my mother, very much on like what was and wasn't socially acceptable. I mean, my dad did a little bit of that too, but he was a little more figure it out yourself type of deal, and I respect that because that's the environment he had to do. So he did his best with his own experiences. But I just got a fair amount of criticism, and a lot of it, especially to myself at the time, feel very double-think. Very,
What does that mean, a double think?
Oh, it's like a use of English to convey very duplicitous information.
Oh, okay.
You say one thing, but you are really meaning to say this one, so you're lying without lying.
Yeah.
And it's honestly been really hard to make that happen because I've been raised with it. So like
Thank you for explaining that way. You know, and if you're constantly being corrected by your family and you've got this double thinking going on, and sometimes I look at it as, are my words matching my walking steps in life? Am I really being totally free and honest with myself in the process of life? And it sounds like maybe that was part of what you were dealing with here.
I think what's really funny is that like I kind of like convinced myself out of a lot of things.
Oh.
And like that's something that, especially writing this paragraph about even the corrections and the paragraph before it talking about like how I kept to myself. I really did deceive so much of who I was as a person. But this extends so far beyond just being a woman.
And what do you mean by this?
I had a defined character and personality for myself. You know, very quiet, shut in, didn't like to talk with people, preferred my books over people, preferred my video games over people. And frankly, as I've grown, that's just not true.
I'm thinking, who do I know as the real Viv? And it's yes, you're very reflective and you're very introspective, but at the same time, you are a shot in the arm for everybody in our community and in my life. You bring such joy, you bring such happiness, and I am just so happy to know you. And I love it when you're in your hat and we're walking on the beach and we're doing all these great things, you know. And so maybe your life has changed. Would you say your life has changed?
Yes, I am no longer being constantly corrected for little things that, in retrospect, sometimes don't always make sense.
And how does that feel?
It feels great. I'm not gonna lie. It feels great to be an adult and not have someone constantly throwing little pebbles at the back of your noggin. Like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. How old are you now?
Oh my God, I'm 20.
You're 20. I love it. And to think that you were still a teenager, you were 19 when you wrote this, correct?
Yeah, because no, the publication date was like before my 20th birthday was October, right?
October 1st,
Yep,
2024.
October.
Right.
And my birthday is November.
November. So, wow. Amazing. So what do your friends and family think? Have you showed this to anybody?
No.
No. And how come? How come?
I'm afraid to come out to my family. I'll be honest.
Okay. Okay. So it's bigger than the writing in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way bigger than that. Do you want to talk about any of that?
I'm fine with that.
Go for it.
Because I know this is going to be me spelling a lot of personal information about myself, but frankly, I feel like, you know, if there's one thing that, like, again, that sign behind you has said is like...
What's that sign say? I'm not...
Again, top 24 in 2024 LGBTQ plus Q-Spirit Christian books, and also your talks at, like, St. Tim's and how much these books have affected people. It's like, you know what? No, I've committed to this. I feel a little bit of a responsibility to share, because that... I can't just give everyone an incomplete story and expect them to, like, learn something from that. I need to talk to them more because they need help.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who need help. You could even be cis, straight, like everything. You could be the cis, straight mayonnaise and a white picket fence.
I love it. I love it.
But you still might need help and some sense of liberation from that healing of religious hurts.
So do you think that had a lot to do with you coming out and being your true self?
I feel like realizing that I was trans was like a chip in the window. I'm just gonna say that there's like a big window, or like a big old mirror between myself on the other side and the weird, strangely depressed young boy on the other side of the mirror. And that boy decided one day to experiment. Ice pick and a hammer. Took one chink at the mirror. It fell off, and he saw a woman.
Wow.
And then, surely enough, as he grasped onto that woman and grabbed more of the mirror, he started to see more parts of herself just fall, and that barrier start to slowly go away. And I'm still chinking away at that mirror. I'm still grabbing those glass shards, cutting myself, hurting myself, and like... just
Emotionally? Mentally?
Yes, not physically though. I moved past that part. It's been a real drain, and it's affected me, it's affected those around me. But it's gonna be worth it, because you know what? If I don't do this, if I don't work to heal, it's just gonna hurt myself a whole lot more, much more than like just letting it fester could.
Oh, God, that's well said. That's well said. And in that process of you healing yourself, like you just said, you're going to be able to help other people. You know, and that's where I see your book, your writing in this book going. And I want to say thank you for being committed to sharing, however you are going to share, who you are first. Because that is most important. The book is secondary. The book is just an object to carry on these stories and these experiences. But you yourself are the most valuable part of this whole scenario.
Yeah,
so
it didn't punch you in the face and knock you over, and you didn't have to go to the doctor.
No. So this is on page 29 if anybody happens to be following. And it says here, your last paragraph, if you so choose to stick with your faith, please remember its principles beyond just what your parents or community tell you. Do you want to elaborate on any of that?
There was a time in my life where I was starting to realize that, like, the faith my parents taught me was not the faith I wanted to follow. And at the time, I still considered myself Christian. I didn't consider myself Catholic anymore, just a full-on Christian and a follower of Christ. And I talked about it with Will while I don't know if we were in a relationship yet.
So then you continue on and you say, especially in a time when Christian love is so far distanced from the love that Christ taught his people. Remember that love does not judge like an executioner. Oh my gosh. That is so powerful. This applies to any religion, not just the Christian faith. You are free to explore your religion. Take some time to beseech the help of
Bodhisattvas, if I remember that correctly.
Okay, bodhisattvas. If you are inclined, try out a protective Wiccan spell if it is safe to do so. Or even just take some time to wonder if the God you've been praying to this whole time may come to you by another name. And then you say, thank you for listening.
That's something I tend to do with my writing, especially the thank you for listening thing. It's like, when I write short stories, I haven't published anything yet. One of the things I put at the top is like the title of my story, my pen name, and a little jokey one-sentence blurb, and then enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah. Thank you for listening. But that whole paragraph, I could read that over and over again because I think every sentence was powerful and impactful.
I want to point out the last one because this was inspired.
Why don't you read it again?
Or even just take some time to wonder if the God you've been praying to this whole time may come to you by a different name. I'm not going to disclose his name because, again, like, I haven't gotten like the legal permission to, and I haven't asked him about it. But like when I was a kid, I went to church. I had this one priest, and I wish I could name him and shout him out and just tell him how much I appreciate him and how much he honestly made being Christian so much more bearable. And I felt like I was more connected to Christ through him. That priest had a sermon, and this was the early 2000s, so there was I'll just say a very fresh memory in a lot of people's minds, but he preached that the Muslims too are our brothers and sisters in Christ, and that we should love them, and that we should give them support as well. And I remember my dad being very much outraged at the notion, because guess what? He was deployed during that time. He was deployed during the 2000s. He was there. I'll just say that.
Yeah. And for you, it was different. You heard something else from that priest that was all-inclusive, correct? All-inclusive, all loving, all kind, and that's where you have been with your own philosophy, I guess, huh?
I don't know. It's really hard to describe.
Yeah.
Talk about.
You know, and there's a word for that. When you cannot find the word, is it infeasible? I don't know, but there is a really, really cool word that talks about that it's so meaningful inside of you, and it's hard to put words on it. So I want to end with something here, Viv. You mentioned that maybe you're going to be writing some more, and you have a pen name?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go with this? This is exciting.
So I don't know if writing is exactly what I'm going to pursue yet, because I have I don't know if I want to like branch into specific just developing video games, or if I'm just going to write books, or if I want to do a little bit of both. But like, I have had the idea of writing for some time now, and I like to do a lot of fiction. I wanted to do like a lot of real world stuff in a very over dramatic, over the top sense. Make it a fun story that you can pick out a meaning from. I don't want an in your face thing. I don't want an in your face, this is what you should think, because that's what I don't like. Because like, I've had a lot of media tell me what to think. I've grown up with very propaganda infused Christian media that has honestly been less Christian than anything else, more totalitarian. Frankly, I don't like the idea of telling other people what to think, because that's just, I got real tired of that pretty darn quickly, even when I was a kid. So I was like, you know what, no, I don't want to do that. I want people to take some time to just enjoy it, whether if you're just enjoying it mindlessly, or if you're like looking at the pieces in the story and like trying to pick out exactly what happened in it. But it's about the story, and if you just get something from it, great. If you just get entertained, great.
Yeah.
Just as long as I've helped you pass the time in some way that you can find enjoyable.
Yeah. So what did you get out of Healing Religious Hurts?
What did I get?
As the entirety of the book, not just your writing, but what did you get out of it?
When I took a look at it, like when I got my copy, a little scary, honestly.
Really?
It's really mortifying, because I have that confirmation of, wow, I'm not alone. And I think that's really cool that we're not alone.